You ready?
Yeah.
The sun went away.
It's coming back.
Okay, so I'm Clayton Goldsmith, the European Sales Manager for Sarah Cycling Group. Here today in beautiful Alcudia, Spain, with Guido Vroemen, Dutch sports doctor, trainer, coach. So Guido, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, your history, your background, and what you're up to these days.
Yes, now I'm a sports doctor, now for about 12 years. And I'm also a triathlon trainer and coach, and I work with power meters for almost 10 years now. I have my own practice in the middle of Holland and coach and train about 30 to 40 athletes. Most of them are triathletes, and about 15 or 20 of them have an own power meter.
Guido, tell us about how the power meter has changed coaching and racing theory in the last years.
Yeah, especially the training with the power meter has made a big difference, because before all of my athletes trained with a heart rate monitor, and with a power meter we can train more accurate, more precise intervals. Especially the short intervals are much better now, and we can also see how much stress the athletes are really building up during their training, and that's a very good point for me to monitor and to see the progression.
Do you require all your athletes to use a power meter?
I'm not requiring it, but I strongly advise them, because that gives me more tools and a better view of their performance, and I can instruct them on a much better way with a power meter.
So with a power meter, there's really now a lot of information available to the athlete and also the coach. What metrics are you using mostly in the coaching, but also in communicating with the athlete?
A tool that I really like, and that's because I'm into triathlon, is the training stress score, because that gives me much information. I can compare not only the cycling but also the running and the swimming, because they give me all the training stress score points they are building up, and it also gives me the information that I can compare the stress score they have reached in cycling, in running and in swimming. And so that's much information I need to give them, to bring them to a peak level.
Okay. So as you've already mentioned, power meters are used for coaching and training, but how else can an athlete, let's say on the bike leg of a triathlon, how can he use a power meter to improve his performance?
The power meter can be used especially in a triathlon, because that's a long time trial you have to do, especially in the half Ironmans and the full Ironmans. You can pace your race. You know your functional threshold power when you start training, and when you're going for a half Ironman race or you go for a full Ironman race, you can estimate your pace with that. For example, a half Ironman pace, you have to be within 85 or 90% of your functional threshold power, and for the full Ironman, the best are at 80%, but most of them are between 70–80% of functional threshold power. And if they stay within that reach, you can do a good marathon or a half marathon afterwards, because that's the next thing you have to do.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about power meters themselves. You know, there's a lot of factors that one has to consider when deciding what power meter to use. What factors are most important in your mind? So, for instance, the accuracy, the weight, the dependability, the price. What do you, if you're going to advise an athlete, what would you tell them?
Yeah, the accuracy and the dependability is very important to me. The weight as a coach, I don't mind that much, but the athlete, he really does mind. But for me, the accuracy and the reliability is very important. It has to measure every time, every day again, very accurate. Because the date that I get have to be good date. If they're not, then I have the chance that I don't estimate the power for the athlete on the right way, and then it's overestimating or underestimating, and that's overtraining or undertraining, for instance.
Okay. So you've obviously been working with PowerTap since you've been training athletes with power meters for 10 years or so.
Yeah.
What is it that you like about PowerTap as a coach, but also as an athlete?
Yeah, it's reliable, it's accurate, and I can switch it to different athletes, because when I coach in a group and I have, let's say, 4 or 5 athletes at a time, and they don't have all the power meter in their bike, I can switch the wheel from one athlete to another. Especially in the new project we are doing on with the Aero testing, we can switch a nice wheel on the track from one athlete to another and then do the testing again. So that's very quickly, and it saves a lot of time then.
So let's talk about this project that will start next year, hopefully here in Spain.
Yep.
Maybe a combination between yourself, PowerTap, Alpha Mantis, and Retool.
Yes.
Tell us about that project.
It's a really cool project. We are busy with that plan, and it's a new track Aero system designed by Alpha Mantis. It's a combination of measuring the power that the cyclist produces and measuring all the circumstances like the air density, the temperature, the rolling resistance. All these factors are measured. We measured the power and the speed in the hub of the PowerTap, and that's a very good combination of the PowerTap, because there's a speed and a power in one sensor, so we don't need 2 sensors. We set up the bike with the PowerTap wheel in it, and then we'll do some laps on the track, on the velodrome here at Mallorca, and then we're going to change the setup of the bikes, and what we want to see is lowering the CDA, so we are more aerodynamic, and then we do different setups, and we hope to reach the best setup with the most power for the athlete, and also the best comfort, because he or she needs to have some comfort to keep that powerful distance.
Interesting. Not that a million people showed up, but it's okay.
Yeah, we did it first.
Okay, so Guido, we're here in Mallorca, and the reason is that PowerTap helped you put together the first try here of a training with Power Camp. Can you tell us about how the week went and the type of riding we did, and just give us an idea of what an athlete might expect if they came to training with Power Camp?
Yeah, this was our first setup of the power training camp here at Mallorca, so it was a really nice tryout. The idea of a whole power training camp in a week is to teach all the athletes, the cyclists or the triathletes, how they get everything out of their power meter. We'll have some lectures for the theoretics behind training with a power meter, but every day we'll go out for a ride, and the first day we will go for a ride, and we'll do some testing then. One of these tests is the power profile. So you'll have to do some sprints, some 10 seconds all-out sprints. After that, there's also a 1 minute full out, and after that also a 5-minute time trial, and the next day you'll do a 20-minute time trial. So from the 20-minute time trial we will calculate your functional threshold power, because then we'll do the 0.95 times the wattage of your 20-minute time trial, and then you have your functional threshold power. In the next days we're going to use that functional threshold power to pace you for a climb here in the neighborhood, because the climb is almost an hour, and then we can pace you that you can race there at 90% or maybe 100% at the functional threshold power, to get your best time at that climb.
Tell us about, we're here in Mallorca, an island off the coast of Spain, and specifically we're in Alcudia. Can you tell me why Alcudia is a good location for a training base when you come to a training camp?
Yeah, we're here at Alcudia. The beach is just behind me here, so that's really nice. But the roads for cycling here are really great. 10 kilometers upway north, where you can go into the hills, and there are really nice climbs here of about 12 to 15 kilometers, percentages sometimes to 10-15%. But if you want to do a really nice and easy ride, flat, it's just the other way, and then you have more than 100 or 200 kilometers rounds that you could do on a flat road. So you can do anything you want here. You can do sprints, you can do climbs, and for the triathletes there's a sea swim just 30 seconds from here, and the running is also perfect here. You can go uphill climbing and off-road running just 2 kilometers from here, and there's a nice blue path here with a 4-kilometer roundup all along the beach, where you can do your intervals and all your running training, whatever you want. So for triathletes and cyclists it's really perfect.
So Guido, for the power camp this past week, how many hours of training did the athletes experience?
We did about 14 to 16 hours of practice riding, and for theoretical lectures we had about every day about an hour or 90 minutes. So all in all you had a very good week, and all the athletes are ready to train with power meters and get everything out of it.
So Gido, you've been working with power meters for quite some time, and you know there's many different types. Obviously PowerTap is based in the hub. There's crank-based systems, there's now pedal-based systems. Can you maybe explain a little bit the differences and advantages or disadvantages of one over the other?
Yeah, there are several systems. Mainly I let the decision where they want a power meter to the athlete himself or the cyclist. Some people have only one bike, so the changing of the power meter to another bike is no problem. Then they can choose whatever they want. If they have more bikes, then that is also a question, and then a power meter in your wheel like the PowerTap is really good and nice, because you can quickly change it to your other bike, and that's something that's not that easy for a crank-based bike for the most of the athletes. Mm-hmm. So the most important thing for me is that the athlete works with a good and reliable power meter, and the choice where the athlete wants it, that's up to him or herself.
Yep. So on the market now are some systems that offer measurement of the left and right leg independently.
Yeah.
As a sports doctor, do you find that information valuable, and how would you use that information to help an athlete?
Yeah. For me as a sports doctor, it's really interesting to know if somebody has left-right difference. For an athlete, if you measure it today or tomorrow or the week after, most of the times it's the same. If the difference is 48% to 52%, it's not that big. If the difference is 40 to 60%, and it's always 40 to 60%, then that's too much. Then you have to focus on strengthening your lesser leg. So the difference needs to be within 10%, and that's what I mean. It's 45, 55, that's the max. And I test my athletes in my lab with a left-right difference, and that's for me important. But most of my athletes, I think 95% are within the 10%.
Anything else?
I think we're there. We have everything.
Okay.
It should be a nice
That's it.
video. Bye-bye.
Thank you.